Howdy folks, I'm Mama B and this is my Easter wreath. And I've got little plastic eggs here, but I'm going to do it the hard way and I'm going to start replacing them gradually with crocheted eggs. That way I can design them how I want, and we're going to show you how. I have this fun bag of threads, crochet threads. They're just whatever leftover scraps. You're going to want some kind of cotton to stuff it with, or some kind of stuffing. You can use all kinds of things. These are cotton balls, and two of those together are just about the right size of the egg that I want. So I'm going to use cotton balls. You're going to need a small hook. This is a boy and it is size 6, 1.80 millimeter. Okay, we're going to start with the circle. Now you're going to want to leave a little bit of a tail if you're doing this for a wreath so you can tie it on. And we're just going to do a slip knot, and then we're going to chain 5, because where we're working with such a small thread, we want to be able to get in there without too much fight. And you can do a magic circle, but I haven't really gained enough faith in the magic circle yet, so I'm going to just connect it with a slip stitch. That gives you a fairly large circle that you can work with, but not so big that it's gaping. And then we're going to chain 2. Now we're going to try and get 12 double half crochets into that center circle. And because we did 5, that shouldn't be a problem. There's 2. We're going to count our chain, right? As one of them. There's 3. Very slippery thread we're dealing with here, folks. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2 more. 11 and 12. Okay, now you want to keep this tail out of your way, and then do a slip stitch into that first chain. And then chain 2 more. Now we're ready to continue on. We want to continue to increase because the egg goes from small and tight to wide and then back to small and tight. So we're going to increase by doing every other one has 2 double half crochets. So there's 1, 2 in that one, and 1 in this one. We're just going to keep going around, increasing every other one. That one has 1. We'll put 2 in this one. 1 in this one. 2 in this one. As we keep going around like this, it will continue to increase. And that's exactly where we want it to be. So keep that tail out of your way. The tail doesn't matter which side it's on, because when we're done we'll just reach in and pull that right through. We want to keep it out of our way until we're ready to do that. And then we'll end with a slip stitch in that first chain. So it's laying relatively flat, and we're just going to keep building it. Chain 2. On this row, because we don't want it to continue to lay flat, we want it to kind of curve in, we're going to do less increases. So I'm going to do 2, and then I'm going to do 2 just stitch for stitch, and then on the third one I'm going to do a double increase, and then I'd put 2 of them in the same stitch, and then 2 again, stitch for stitch, and I'm going to put 2 double half crochets in this one. See, and that starts to curve it just a little bit. I don't want it to be too much, right? But I don't want it to be too little either. The further you go, in order to give that curve, you want to do less increases. And you can watch our videos about increases and decreases. That will help you. Also, the double half crochet video we also have available, tutorial how to do that. Where we're freeform crocheting or freehand, it's a lot of hit and miss and trial and error, but if you understand the principles of it or the concepts, you don't have to do so much repeat, because you just start to recognize that it's looking the way you want it to or not, and how to adjust that. Like everything, practice makes perfect. On this row, I'm going to go 3 stitch for stitch, and then increase on the 4th one. Crochet is a very forgiving thing, and so if you don't get it exactly right, you can, kind of fudge it at times. I know this because I fudge it all the time. When I've gotten to a certain point and decided I don't want to go back, there's ways around fixing things that you've messed up. But with this one, it's pretty forgiving, because you just kind of eyeball it. I mean, you can be precise if you like, but you also don't have to be. You can learn to make your stitches come together and do what you want them to do. So that's pretty nice. You can see it's starting to take on that egg shape. So it's going just how I want it to. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can decorate these eggs, because they're Easter eggs, right? They're not all supposed to be just one color. They can be. This row I'm going to do 4 in between before an increase. One of the ways that you can do it is you can do it all in one color and then go back later and add your details. So you can do a stitch over. Or another way you can do it, which is what I'm going to show you, is you can change your thread color and do a few fun stitches like that. So that's what I'm going to do with this one. I want to build the base of my egg first. So now I've actually lost count on how many I've done between my increase, but I know that's pretty close, so I'm throwing a double into that one, throwing an increase into that one, and then I move on about my way. Forgiving. It's pretty great. Throwing an increase right there and seal it off with a slip stitch. Okay, so that's a pretty solid base. At this point, I want to know which side is my outside and which side is my inside. So the side that you're facing, that's the side you want to be outside. If you flip it back and forth, your stitches are going to look a little funky. It'll still be okay, forgiving, right? But it's better if you recognize which one's which. So I put my tail on the inside, and that way the outside's always facing me and I keep my stitches even. Okay, I'm going to tie this off and change colors. So just do 2 slip stitches right there and snip it. At this point, we're going to pick up our next color, and I've always liked yellow next to purple, so we're going to go with yellow. Now this thread is a little bit thicker than the purple, so you want to kind of keep that in mind, that could be a problem for us, but we're going to go with it anyway, and that way you can see any troubleshooting on my video and know what to do or not to do. Okay, so we're going to do a slip knot, go into that first stitch where we left the purple, and I'm going to do just a regular single crochet, pull those ends because those ends you want to hide. I'm going to do a couple of single crochets now, and I think because this is a thicker thread, we're going to stick with single crochets. Now for the design, we're going to do yarn over twice. And then we're going to drop down to this center circle. This is the ring where we did the 12 double half crochets in the middle of it. And we're going to go just the outside of it, drop in, and come back up through the center. Yarn over, pull that yarn back out, and then drop off 2 at a time. There's 2, 2, and 2. Like so. Then we're going to go to our next crochet stitch and do a single crochet. We're going to do 3 of those. And then we're going to do yarn over once, and we're only going to drop halfway down. So we're going to skip that first one, drop into that next one, and drop off 2 each time coming back up. And then don't forget your single crochets. And then yarn over twice, drop back down into that center circle, well, just before it, right? Catch that ring, pull it back up through, drop off 2, drop off 2, drop off 2. You can see our design starting to take shape. Go back into your single crochets. And you can do any variation of this pattern. Switch them up. And just keep working it all the way around. And finish it off the slip stitch in the first one. And there's our purple and yellow decorated egg end of it. Now we can continue with the yellow for the fun of it. Stick with the single crochet if it's thicker, because that will make it more even looking. And then you can still fit the same number of stitches in there. Just work your way all the way around. This tail, every once in a while it's going to come up, but just keep it out of your stitches and you'll be fine. Look at how great that is looking. And you can see our egg is quite wide. If I compare it with a cotton ball, I'm going to find that I don't want it any wider than this. So if your egg starts to get too wide, you'll want to start doing decreased stitches, and we're about to that point anyway. I'm going to finish this round without doing it because I want to see how it fits to the cotton ball, make sure my eyes aren't playing tricks on me, and not making it too small too soon. Now also, because this is such a small project and product, you don't have to cut those threads entirely. I did because I want to keep this tail separate and it can get confusing. Oh, I love that. Look at how that's turning out. Okay, let's take a cotton ball and compare it to it. See, that's going to embrace that just perfectly. Oh, I'm so excited, you guys. I'm so excited. And I want to go back to the purple. I think this is just going to be a yellow and purple egg. To begin, start with the slip knot and do a single crochet. That will secure those ends in and get you started. Continue to work your ends in as you change to a double half crochet. For the next 3 to 4 rows, depending on how you feel about your egg, how it's looking and shaping up, you will go stitch to stitch, no decreasing, no increasing. At that point, we will stuff our egg with cotton and begin our decrease. Let's speed this up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to stuff my first cotton ball in there because I don't want this to get too hard to do. Just kind of work that in. Okay, I'm going to do another row of my double half crochets. And this is where we'll start decreasing. And mostly this is just an eyeball judgment that you're making. Is it looking the way you want it to? This is where your artistic skills come into play. If it's looking how you want it to, you are doing it absolutely right. I'm going to do a decrease right there. It's a little bit more challenging once you put that stuffing in. So, because everything just holds a little bit more different, and it gets to be a little bit of a challenge. I think I'm going to do another decrease here. Lost that stitch altogether. I'm going to do another decrease here. We'll just keep working through like that. And I'm going to close that off with a slip stitch. You can see my area there is getting smaller. I like the shape of the egg. I like how that's starting to take shape. And I'm going to do another row of double half crochets with my purple. Now I can do this, and you may be thinking, well, what about the yellow? But the yellow will go back into the work I've already done, so I can actually do this all the way to the end if I so choose to, and then tie it off with a yellow embellishment or highlight, depending on how you want your egg design to be. As I get going, I am going to have problems because I got another cotton ball I got to stuff in there. This is obviously not tight enough or full enough. So keep that in mind. I think I'm going to do a decrease here. And as you go into your decreases, it will get even smaller and tighter to work with. Slip stitch. You can see it's getting smaller and smaller. Now I want to get that other cotton ball in there before, do not lose that loop, that would be a hard one to find, before I get that too much smaller. So this one I'm going to break down, and I'm going to use my crochet hook, put that loop over my finger so that I don't lose it. I'm going to use my crochet hook to work that in there. It's important that as you work it in there, you keep it kind of smooth, no lumpy eggs, right? Another reason why you want that loop over, it will help you pull that up so that it's easier to get the cotton stuffed in there. And these cotton balls have a different texture than your normal stuffing, so that's something to consider. Okay, that is all the stuffing for my egg. I want to make sure I've got that worked around. You can use the hook and go up through there and kind of hook and pull that to work that how you like it so that you have the egg shape that you want. Now that I've got my stuffing in there, I'm going to take this loop off of my finger and I'm going to switch it back to the yellow. I'm not going to use the purple anymore, so what I want to do is tie that off. This row is going to be a single crochets. We're going to decrease as we go. I also want some yellow to pull down into the purple part of the egg for extra artistic flair. So I'm going to do, I still want that first single crochet to be in there properly. And then I'm going to do a drop down with a double over the hook, drop down into almost touching the yellow. Pull that up and do a decrease right there, right immediately after. I'm going to do a yarn over and I'm going to do a short one, trying to repeat the pattern from below. And again, I'm going to decrease right there. So immediately after that. So 1 and 2 and slide it off. And I'm going to do a long, go down to almost the bottom, almost to the other yellow. Remember, you got to keep this loop up here pretty tight. And the longer you make these stripes reaching down, the harder that is to do. I'll repeat that one. Decrease right there, and half down. You'll just continue this pattern as you go around. There's not very much left on this row, and then you just continue to decrease from this point on with the yellow until you cinch it up tight at the top. Decrease and decrease. Just keep decreasing. So every stitch on this one is going to be a decrease. And at this point, you may want to ask the question, do you need more stuffing? Because you can add more stuffing to it. Here I'm just going to do slip stitches to decrease because I want it all sealed up now. And I'm cutting across the egg to grab a stitch from over there because I'm pretty well done. And that is that. Do another pull through to cinch it off. Now it's just about making it the way you want it. Leave a tail so you can tie it on. And at this point, I'm going to grab my hook and I'm going to pull some of that cotton stuffing back to where I want my shape to be. Fluff it out a little bit. Use your hook end because it can get into that cotton and pull it around for you a little bit. And there's my Easter egg. I love how that looks. And you can do all kinds of variety with this. Again, like I said, one of the things you can do is go in and do the whole egg with one color, and then do your embellishments, your decorations with another over the top, around the outside. So there we have it. There's our egg. And I'm going to go stick it on my wreath. And I'm going to gradually make more of these and replace the other eggs eventually. For now, I only have one, so I'm leaving the other eggs on my wreath, and I'm going to add them to them. So this will be fun. Let's go see. Ooh, look at that, you guys. Oh, it's so cute. It's smaller by a lot. But if I keep building those up and, kind of put them in between the bigger eggs and then eventually transition to it all together or leave the bigger eggs. I'm excited about how that turned out. That egg looks so adorable and it fits so perfect on my wreath. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it inspires you and have a fantastic day.